I'd do a little bit of an in-game report. I normally do after action, but I'm partway through a game of Red Menace, World War III in 1959, and I thought I'd talk a little bit about gameplay and kind of where we're at right now. It's not looking very good for the Soviets, which is good for me because I'm doing okay here. I'm right at 25 points, and the Soviets are at 13. They've nuked Washington, D.C., got 11 points out of that. They've also nuked Thule, but I had a Nike defense that was able to take some points off of that, so that was fortunate. The Soviets are out of bombers. There's no more to do flights, and then they have basically this left to come at me, but they've lost quite a bit through really through interceptions, a little bit of defense, but mostly through successful interceptions. The U.S. has, most of their flights have taken off and are still out there, so still have some points to pick up there. The scenario I'm playing is scenario 1, Soviets on the dew line, and the victory condition is 50 points, so halfway there for the U.S. Really don't know if the Soviets are going to be able to get there with what they have left, possibly. Plus, there's random events, so there's a chance that the Cuban flights could come in as well, which would give them some more bombers out there. So let's talk a little bit about gameplay. There's your turn or phases are right here on the board. This is under plexiglass. You don't have to use plexiglass. You can write. There's an erasable pen. You can write on the boards or on these two tracks. You have the Soviet track and the U.S. track, or the Allies track, and you can write on that and erase off. But I put it under plexiglass just to keep them all together in an easy, accessible fashion there. So you'll do the turn phase. So the first thing you'll do is draw random events, and I have my random events up here. Sorry if I popped up on the screen there, but so you got your random events deck, and it's mostly bad for you, but there are some good things in there as well. Don't want to turn this over because I'll do that because I might end up finishing this game. And you'll draw the random events, and that will do something here. It might allow the Soviets to move faster, or it might allow, like for me, early in the game, I got this airborne early warning activated. So this, you basically say that's launched, and you determine you get to pick which base it's going to be at. I put it here at Gothab. Good thing, because Thule got nuked. If I had put it at Thule, it would have not been there anymore. And what that allows you to do is, normally the Soviets, you don't know what's in the bomber squadron. There's 3 in there, and you don't know what's in there till they pass the dew line here. Once they go on the dew line or past it, you can you pull them out of the cup and figure out what is in the bomber squadron there. But having this out means that the minute they're launched, you get to pull out and figure out exactly what's coming your way. Then you launch, and then when you do the launch, you go to this. You pull from this deck here. This is the Soviet city, and this will tell you the city. This is Vladivostok. So you'll take one of these flight tokens, put it on Vladivostok, and again, if the early warning system's not out, you don't draw the bombers yet. But then you're going to roll a 6-sided die, and like 4 here, so that would mean that it's going to be U, which is that right? Yeah, so it's U, which is, God, what is U? It is, oh, it's Vancouver. So it's going for Vancouver there. So you'd mark it over here on, like, so for example, you'd mark Vladivostok, which is 10, and then you mark U. So you put a 10, like this was 11 in U, but you'd mark a 10 in U as the primary target. And in this scenario, you launch 2 of these a turn, so you'll draw 2 cards and set those out. So this is kind of how you determine where they're launching from, where the bomber squadron is coming from, and what their primary target is. Then next thing you do, and if that city is destroyed, like in this case, the primary target was Thule, and it was destroyed, so you roll again on this chart, and it'll tell you what the secondary target was. So like for this flight, the secondary target was London there. So so then you move all Soviets. So each of these the bomber squadrons move 1, and you're going to move those down, and they're going to try to take the shortest route to their target. But you can try to avoid cities and air defenses. If they land on an air defense, there's a range on here. Like this air defense is 0. If they land on a city, then the interceptors. A lot of the interceptors have a range of 0, but some interceptors have long range. So if there's like a 1 there, then they can, and if they're 1 away from a city, whether it's the UK, if it's a UK city or a Canadian city or a US city, depending on where it's at, you can roll for you can have the interceptor try to intercept, and you get to choose how many interceptors there are if you're the US player, and it's got an attack value. So you have to roll that number or higher to destroy a bomber. And then there's also a sequence of, if there's different bombers in the squadron, there's a priority order of which bomber you destroy in that squadron. So that's the primary way of you doing your defenses is if the bomber squadron goes over a city, you've got interceptors, or within 1 of a city, there's a potential for long-range interceptor. And when you do a long-range intercept, it's going to go to the long range, so it's going to take a while to refuel. These other ones that are 0, they go to the normal, then they get reset at the end of the turn, so basically it's going to take a couple of turns for long range. So you move all Soviets, you do the Soviet bombing run. If they're over a city, then you'll get to roll for their different attacks. They have, like this is attack 3, so you have to roll 3 or higher. And when you roll the attack, if it's successful, you're going to draw out of this cup here, and that's a 1d6. So you'll roll a 1d6, and that's going to be the damage that's done. The city's destroyed, but and these range in value. Like there's an 8 there. The city's destroyed, and then you mark the victory points here. And so that's how this scenario goes up to 50, and that's how you get victory points, is by destroying the cities. If you destroy Washington, it has or Moscow, it has a special counter. You automatically get 10 points, and then you roll a 6-sided die, and you get to mark. You have these dice here that mark the extra amount of damage on the city. So then after you do the bombing run, then you have there's the bombing Soviet bomber detection. Well, we've already done that if it's gone over the dew line, but if you have this out, you automatically detect it. Then you have the US and UK air defense. That's the interception. Then you have the Soviet bomber attack, which is what I said when you get over there. Then you have the US and UK launch, and what you do there is you get to launch 3 a turn. The scenario might change, but the normal situation is you get to launch 3, and you're just going to take them from whatever city you're at. Like this is London, this is Omaha, and you just put them on the board. And you get to launch 3 bombers from on a turn, unless the scenario says something different. Then you're going to move all the units, and some of the U.S. bombers have movement of 2. And again, you have the same issue. If you go over a city, then there's a chance for interception, or there's a chance if you go over one of these AD sites, that is a Soviet air defense. So you might have a SAM attack from the Soviets there. And then again, that's back to the Soviet and Cuban interceptors and the SA-2 air defenses. Then you have the U.S. And UK bomb attack, so it's the same as the Soviet. If you're over the target, whoa, geez, man, I just had a bomb attack there. If you're over the target, then you're going to have roll for the attack there, and like this is an attack 3, so you roll 3 or higher, and you do the same sequence. You're going to pull out of the cup there. Wow, geez, that was a full-on bomb attack there. And then you have the U.S. submarine attack, which, I was able to use this U.S. submarine twice. It's got, it starts off with 2 of these Polaris missiles. I used both of them, and it rolls, it rolls on a 4+, you get a successful attack, but it's got a range of 3, so it hit a couple of things within range out here. And it can move twice, and I moved it once, but it can move twice, but it's got to be you move it to where these Polaris sites are at. That shows you where it can kind of move to and how far it can extend for the range. There's also a risk on these anti-submarine warfare. The Soviets have some anti-submarine warfare, so if you go in one of these hexes that have that ship there, you have a chance for anti-submarine warfare. Then you're going to check for victory conditions, which in this case is 50, and then you reset your interceptors, both the Soviet and the Cubans if they're in play, and the U.S., Canadian, and UK interceptors, depending on whether they're the long range, they go to normal. If they're normal, they go to ready. And then you rinse and repeat. You draw a random events card again, and so that's the process. It's just keeps on going through these 15 phases here, and you just keep going until you get to the victory condition. So that's basically the game. I kind of jumbled up some of the phases there, got ahead of myself, but that's basically the game. It's a matter of launching, moving, if they're within interception range or SAM range, then it's attack, doing a defense. If they survive the defense, then it's doing an attack. If they successful attack, then you nuke the city. You get victory points for that. Then the other side does the same thing. The Soviets go first, and then the Allies, and then it's a rinse and repeat, right? Oh, there's also a Soviet submarine. In this scenario, it gets to roll, and if it rolls on a what was that again? If it rolls on a 5 or higher, it gets to nuke. But there's also I drew the Soviet submarine card. There's a random events card, so it gets to nuke, and then if it's successful, you get to roll which city it gets to nuke over here. In fact, that's how Thule got nuked, was by the Soviet submarine. So the submarine warfare was relatively active in this game. And bombers, didn't do as, for at least for the Soviets, the bombers didn't do as much. So anyway, I think I had it down pretty close on how I was doing it. There's multiple scenarios in here. This was just the first scenario that really puts the Soviet bombers right here on the dew line. So they're really close to, they have kind of advantage. They're not launching all the way from up in their home cities. They're already at the dew line, so they're coming in pretty hot and heavy before you can get your bombers up there. But you've got quite a few interceptors out there as well. One of the things that really helped me out was getting this early warning out pretty soon. So I don't know. I might continue to finish playing this. If I do, I might do an after action, but I don't know if I really need to. I feel like I've got a pretty good. For at least for this video, I think I've given you guys a pretty good understanding of how the game plays. Again, want to thank the designer, our Brent Ward, for sending this to me. Appreciate that. And again, I just thought I would kind of do a little bit of mid-game report while it was still fresh and before I'm going to crash and go to bed. It's relatively late here and it's raining outside, and I think I just wanted to wrap this up before, do some video before I hit the sack. So anyway, thanks for spending some time with me. Hopefully this was helpful to you of how it plays, to give you some feel for it. If I messed something up dramatically, let me know in the comments. If you like this, let me know in the comments. If you hate this and don't think this is the kind of game for you, let me know in the comments. If you're getting the hint, I kind of appreciate comments on there. And thanks for spending some time with me. Have a good one. Thanks for watching.